Question 1. Which Deep Space Nine storyline most directly challenged the idea that Starfleet officers are morally infallible? The Maquis Rebellion. First contact protocols in the Gamma Quadrant. Klingon Federation tensions. The use of covert intelligence and manipulation. Correct answer. The use of covert intelligence and manipulation. Why this matters. Through episodes involving Section 31, intelligence deception, and wartime compromises, DS9 dismantled the notion of Starfleet as morally pure. This long-running theme positioned Deep Space Nine as the most ethically complex Star Trek series, a distinction still widely discussed in 2025 Star Trek analysis and academic criticism. Question 2. Why was Deep Space Nine intentionally set on a stationary space station rather than a starship? To reduce production costs? To mirror real-world military bases? To force characters to face consequences rather than escape? To limit exploration storylines? Correct answer. To force characters to face consequences rather than escape. Why this matters? By removing the ability to warp away, DS9 ensured that political, social, and personal consequences accumulated over time. This decision fundamentally reshaped Star Trek's storytelling and directly influenced modern serialized science fiction dramas. Question 3. Which Deep Space Nine character best represents the dangers of rigid obedience to authority? Worf. Dukat, the female changeling. Weyoun. Correct answer, Weyoun. Why this matters? Weyoun's unwavering loyalty to the Founders demonstrated how blind obedience enables authoritarian regimes. His polite demeanor contrasted sharply with the atrocities he supported, making him one of DS9's most unsettling antagonists and a frequent subject of Dominion hierarchy analysis. Question 4. What deeper theme did the Cardassian legal system represent in Deep Space Nine? Inefficient bureaucracy. Cultural pride. Predetermined guilt under authoritarian rule. Religious absolutism. Correct answer. Predetermined guilt under authoritarian rule. Why this matters? Episodes such as Tribunal portrayed Cardassian justice as a tool of state propaganda and control, reinforcing DS9's critique of totalitarian systems. This portrayal remains relevant in discussions of law, power, and human rights in science fiction. Question 5. Why was Captain Sisko allowed to remain emotionally flawed throughout the series? To contrast with Picard, to reflect long-term trauma, to challenge the idealized Starfleet captain archetype, to simplify character writing? Correct answer. To challenge the idealized Starfleet captain archetype. Why this matters? Sisko's anger, grief, and moral uncertainty made him the most human Star Trek captain to date. His portrayal marked a turning point in franchise storytelling and is frequently cited in Deep Space Nine character studies. Question 6. Which Deep Space Nine theme most directly separates it from earlier Star Trek series? Exploration of unknown space. Technological optimism. Moral ambiguity under sustained pressure. Alien first contact. Correct answer. Moral ambiguity under sustained pressure. Why this matters? DS9 did not ask whether characters could uphold ideals, but whether they would when survival was at stake. This distinction defines the series' legacy, and is why DS9 is often described in 2025 as the most mature Star Trek series ever produced. Question 7. Why did Deep Space Nine portray war as slow, bureaucratic, and morally exhausting? To differentiate it from films, to reflect real-world conflicts, to justify darker storytelling, to reduce action sequences. Correct answer. To reflect real-world conflicts. Why this matters? The Dominion War avoided glorification, instead showing prolonged fatigue, shifting alliances, and ethical erosion. This approach aligned DS9 with real historical conflicts and elevated it within serious science fiction war narratives. Question 8. Which character arc best illustrates social progress occurring without violence? Kira Nerys. Noch. Rom. Odo. Correct answer, Rom. Why this matters? Rom's evolution from exploited worker to political reformer demonstrated that systemic change can occur through intelligence, empathy, and persistence. His arc remains one of DS9's most understated yet powerful commentaries on economic justice and reform. Question 9. Why did Deep Space Nine repeatedly revisit Bajoran politics rather than resolving them quickly? To extend the series' length, to explore instability after occupation, to focus on religious conflict, to reduce Dominion screen time. Correct answer. To explore instability after occupation. Why this matters? DS9 recognizes that liberation does not equal stability. Bajor's ongoing political struggles reflected real post-occupation societies, reinforcing the show's commitment to realism and long-term consequences. Question 10. What ultimately makes Deep Space Nine uniquely relevant in 2025? Its visual effects, its connection to other Star Trek series, its focus on unresolved moral questions, its optimistic future vision. Correct answer. Its focus on unresolved moral questions. Why this matters? DS9 never provided easy answers. Instead, it asked enduring questions about power, faith, loyalty, war, and compromise, issues that remain deeply relevant in modern global discussions. This is why Deep Space Nine continues to attract new audiences and sustained critical attention decades later.